Hi crafters, it's Kathy here from Scrap and Bean with another Try It Tuesday. And today I'm going to show you what you can do with this really fine glitter. This happens to be by Elizabeth Craft Designs, and it's their Silk Microfine glitter, and the color is Cool Diamond. So it's a see-through glitter, but it does have some colors of sparkle in there. They do have a warm and then also a cool. This one happens to be the cool, which I thought was appropriate for doing a winter scene. So I have this Woodward Craft stamp of this really fun little snowman. Well, not little, he's actually very big. And I'm going to make a card with him, and so he's going to cover my whole card front. So it leaves me really nothing else that I need to do, but I'm going to add some sparkle to him. First, I just colored him with colored pencils, but the medium that you use underneath, happens to be polychromos. But you could use this glitter technique on top of anything. It could be a piece of scrapbook paper with a nice design. It could be something you colored with your Copics, your Wink of Stella, your any kind of markers, pencils. But the idea is to add this sparkle over everything. So I'm using this Sukwang double-sided adhesive sheets. Comes in a package like this that we have at Scrap and Bean at all of our locations. Sometimes known as Sukwang because that's the name on it. Sometimes it's under the brand of Be Creative tape. Sometimes it's even sold under the brand of Score tape or Score. Yeah, I think it's Score tape that they sometimes call it. It's all the same thing. It's basically a very strong double-sided tape. So what I'm going to do is put this down on top. I'm going to cover my whole snowman here. So I want to cut this down so it's roughly the size of my image. So I'm not wasting too much. I'm going to cut it off right there, and I'll save that for another project. So now I know it's roughly about the size. I'm going to take off, now there's a protective covering on both sides of your adhesive. So I'm going to take off one, and you do want to be careful when you're doing this technique. Try not to put fingerprints onto the adhesive portion because it will show up on your finished project. I'm going to put that down on my surface. It's very sticky. And then I'm going to take my image and put it face down right on top of that stickiness. There we go. And then I'm going to trim off this excess here. Or trim it pretty close. It's not exact. And I'm not using my good scrapbooking scissors or my good fussy cutting scissors because I know it's going to leave a little bit of sticky on my scissor. And if you do end up with stickies on your scissor, you just use a little bit of rubbing alcohol, or even hand sanitizer has enough alcohol in there to clean it and get any kind of glue. Anytime that you're cutting into glue, it'll help get that off your scissor blades. And actually, that's not bad. It came off in a couple nice strips. So now my picture is underneath here. You might even be able to see through there, a little bit of snowman coming through. And when I take this piece off, now the whole top is going to be sticky, exposed again. So I'm going to get this ready. I'm putting just a piece of printer paper underneath there. And that's just to capture my extra glitter. And then I'm going to peel off this protective layer. And again, I'm being careful not to put my fingerprints on too much of that card front. And as I peel off here, there's our little snowman again. He is so cute. And then I'll put this down here. It's hard to let go without having something sticking. And then I'm going to sprinkle this glitter over the whole thing. So it looks like I'm using a lot, and actually I am. I'm going to pour out the whole jar on here, and then I'll recapture so that I can do many of these with that same glitter. I just want to make sure the whole thing is covered. I'm even going to tap off the excess. I don't want any loose glitter on there. And then I'm going to recapture all of that beautiful sparkle back into my jar. So you can see I've hardly used any of it there. And then what we want to do, I'll let you see through here to start with. So it's a little bit foggy looking through there for a minute. And then we're going to do what we call burnishing. It's just a fancy word for all I'm really doing is taking my finger now and rubbing it. Rub into that glitter. And it does make it a little bit more sparkly. Something to do with the oil on your fingers. Just seems to bring some more sparkle to life. And you're also going to take off any loose glitter on there, because we don't want loose glitter. With this technique, you can get a little bit of glitter on your work surface. Like you can see here, there'll be some sparkle around, and obviously I'm going to have some sparkle on my finger. But once you take off any of this excess, then when you put your card into an envelope to give it to somebody, when they open the envelope, they're not going to get a whole bunch of loose glitter in there, because it's just taking off all the excess. And if you wanted to make sure you got it all, you could even take like a bounce sheet or any of those anti-static cleaning things, and it'll take off any loose little bits. And there we have our snowman that is just super sparkly. He's so sparkly, and usually sparkle doesn't show up on cameras, but there's so much here that I'm sure he'll show. So that's just a really fun way to add super sparkle to your image. And I have one more little snow guy here. Also done with my colored pencils. I was actually coloring these on our Friday night, our virtual Friday night craft nights at Scrap and Bean, which are free. If you ever want to join us on Zoom from 7 to 9 p.m., that's what I was doing on the last one. And I have another piece of this adhesive here, which I cut off the first. So we'll do this again. So we take off one layer of protective shield off of our, now I didn't measure this, hope it's the right length. Oh, it's going to be close. And actually I could probably put it off in one corner. And that will save me trimming all four sides. Now I just have to trim the excess off of two sides. And these strips of adhesive that I'm cutting off of here, if you wanted to be thrifty and recycle, reuse, I can use this strip of sticky to put my, assemble my card. If you wanted to, you could take, this is the protective piece that I pulled off. I could save this right back on there. And now I can use that to assemble my card. So there's really no waste here at all. There's my other piece. And there's my pieces from earlier. So I've got lots of strong adhesive there that I can make use of. So here's our covered little snowman. We'll take the covering off of him. And there he is, all exposed and super sticky. Really, really sticky there. So to avoid my finger, I gotta pull the other finger off the adhesive here. And here comes his glitter. I'm always just really generous with that, just like I am with embossing powder or anything, because I know I'm going to capture any excess. I like to just flick and get rid of any excess on there, because we just want it to cover one layer on the surface is all we need, and then the rest of that we can recapture it and back in the jar. So I've really hardly used any glitter there. know if it'll show up on camera, the difference between these two, where this one's been burnished and this one hasn't. I can see the image through the burnished one, a little more vibrant, and also it's got that little extra sparkle on there. So I'll just go ahead and burnish this. I'm pressing it pretty hard. You might even be able to see my knuckle goes a little bit white. I'm actually putting quite a bit of pressure on there. And you just go all over it. And it'd be a good idea to have handy either a wet cloth to just wipe the glitter off your fingers, or like a bounce sheet, a glitter cleanup cloth, any of those things to pick up your excess glitter. Because I am putting, when I'm taking off the excess glitter here, I am getting quite a bit of loose glitter on my work surface, plus some of it I spilt off my sheet, so I've got a little bit on there that's worth cleaning up so it doesn't go all over my craft desk. And there you go, that easy. So that's ready to be made into a project. So here is our 2 card fronts that have got their nice glitter all over them. This one I just adhered it onto a piece of this nice kind of blue that matched his scarf. And then I'll do the same with this one. I don't feel like they need much embellishing because they're just so beautiful glittery. If you haven't made a card before, this is our basic thing. You have to imagine this because I've already cut it in half. So this is our typical 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I cut it in half. This is the 11 inches from here to here. So I cut it in half, which is 5.5 inches. This will make me 2 card fronts. I fold each of those in half, and now I have 2 of what we often refer to as standard size cards. So that ends up being 5.5 inches this direction and 4.25 inches this direction. So I have trimmed down my little snowman to be 1/4 inch shorter and 1/4 inch in from the sides as well. So he's just a nice size for that. So that's one way to get the best use out of your cardstock from an 8.5 by 11 sheet, and you've got 2 cards. And I'm just going to stick him down on there with this leftover double-sided adhesive that we trimmed off. This is going to be a little bit long, so I'll just trim it. And seeing, rather than throw it away, I'll just stick it in the center of my card. Doesn't really need to be there because the adhesive is so strong. Having a strip down each side is going to be plenty. So that's just easier than throwing it away, I guess. And if you ever have a little bit of a challenge getting this sukwang, once you have the strip down, getting the corner up, there's a few ways. Some people I see like to take a little tool and just poke under there and pull it up. The other way is if you're just doing it with your fingers, which I usually do. If you can't quite get it and you're never really getting that edge, the trick is to take your fingernail and actually push it down, or your finger, it doesn't have to be fingernail. Push it down extra hard. I know that's counterintuitive, but when you push it down so it's really pushed into your paper and then take your fingernail back this other direction, it just seems to catch on there easier. And of course now it's not going to do it since I'm trying to show you how easy it is. But that's what usually works for me. Just push it the opposite way and then it comes right up. So there we've got all our sticky, and now I'm just going to try to center him. This, another little tip, this adhesive is super strong. So once you put it down, you don't have much chance to switch that, to move it. So there we go, he's in place. And maybe I'll just add a little bit of string. I've got some, well, not string, twine. That I'll add on there. And if I have enough so that could be tied into a bow, and maybe I will. I'm just going to have it so it goes right onto the inside of my card too, and we'll have a little flash of color there. And I'll wrap it around a couple of times. Oh wow, I cut this really long. So I'll just go 3 times. There we go. And we'll tie that. You can tie it into a knot, or you could tie it into a bow. Even when I'm tying a bow on with this twine, I like to tie it to a knot first. Now I know that all of these are secure and they're tight. It's not going to slip around on me, and I'm not trying to hold that in place at the same time that I'm tying a bow, so I can just leaves my hands free to work with just the bow and get that pulled the way I want. And then you can cut off your little ends however long you want them. And there we go. I think that's enough embellishment for our little snow guys. So I hope you crafters give that a try with just some microfine glitter, and you do want glitter that you can see through. That's the trick. After you've done all this work of coloring, you certainly wouldn't want to put an opaque glitter over there and then you've just hidden all of your work. So you do want to have one that is see-through, and this one is the Silk Microfine glitter in either the cool diamond or the warm diamond. This one happens to be the cool, just because it goes with our winter scene. Happy crafting!